Good morning, class. Welcome to our third lecture of investment management. And in this lecture, we'll be looking at valuing annuities and perpetuities. In our previous lecture, we were looking at NPV rule. We were also looking at the rate of return, and we were also looking at the opportunity cost of capital, and we concluded at the end saying that in as much as you are carrying out investments, you need to look at the rules that are guiding those principles. So if you are carrying out an investment and then you want to use the net present value rule, you have to make sure that the number or the figure that you're going to get when you calculate for NPV, it's going to be a positive number. If you find a positive number, that simply shows that that investment that you're carrying out is worth taking. It is a good investment. And there's also another criteria that you can use, which is the present value, comparing it to the actual cost of an investment. For example, in the example that we gave, we looked at the cost of building an office block, which costed 350. And when we sell that office block after 1 year, it gave us 400 million kwacha. And we saw that discounting that 400 million kwacha to the present value, using an interest rate of 7%, it gave us 374. And comparing the 374 to the cost of investing in the office block, we saw that the 374 was greater than the cost of the office block, which was 350. Hence, we concluded to say that if the present value is greater than the cost of investing into that asset, then we should go ahead with the investment. That is because it is cheaper on our side if we compare the present value, which is greater than our cost of investing into a given investment. And we also saw that if the rate of return is also greater than the opportunity cost of capital, we should go ahead with the investment. Then we refer to the opportunity cost of capital as the value that is forgone. For example, the value that is forgone was the interest, which was 7%. And then that was the opportunity cost of capital. That is because we didn't go for the option of the market securities or the government securities, but we opted to go for the construction of the office block. Hence, we forgo the 7% interest, which is referred to as the opportunity cost of capital, which is the value that we forgo for another opportunity. And if we calculate the rate of return on the investment that we opted to go for, which is building the office block, we realized that the rate of return was greater than the opportunity cost, which was 7%. And then the formula for rate of return, we saw it was profit over investment, where we added the 400 plus the initial cost and then dividing it by the initial cost, which gave us 14%. And 14% was greater than the opportunity cost of capital, which was 7%. And moving on to Unit 3 of investment management, we are looking at valuing annuities and perpetuities. Our outline for this unit will be as follows. What are annuities? Valuing annuities. What perpetuities are? Valuing perpetuities will be the last section of this unit. Annuities. An annuity is a series of equal payments that are made at equidistant points in time, such as monthly, quarterly, or annually over a finite period of time. So for example, you're receiving a 1,000 at the end of each and every year or at the beginning of each and every year. That is a definition of an annuity. It is a series of equal amount payments that are made at equidistant points in time such as monthly, quarterly, or annually over a finite period of time. If payments are made at the end of each period, the annuity is referred to as ordinary annuity. We also have annuity due, which is an annuity where payments are made at the beginning of a period. And we see that for this case, an ordinary annuity, this is an annuity that we receive or we make payments at the end of each period. For example, at the end of year one, at the end of year two, you make a payment just like that. Example, how much money will you accumulate by the end of 10 years if you by the end of year 10 if you deposit 3,000 kwacha each year for the next 10 years in a savings account that earns 5%. So we see that the annuity is, this is an ordinary annuity where a 3,000 is deposited at the end of each and every year. That is what we see. How much, and then our question is asking us for the future value that we are going to make. How much money will you accumulate by the end of year 10 if you deposit 3,000 kwacha each year for the next 10 years in a savings account that earns 5% per year? Then we see that our interest rate in this case is 5% per year. Then when we are dealing with this question, we see that it is asking us for a future value. Hence, this future value, it is a future value of an ordinary annuity. Then we've got the interest of 5%, and our time frame or our timeline is from year 0 to year 10. Then the cash flows. We can see that the cash flows that are being made are of 3,000 kwacha. And these cash flows are going to begin from year 1, going on up to year 9, and year 10 will not receive any interest because that is the final year. We want to know the future value of the 10 cash flows. We can compute the future value of each cash flow and sum them together. The future value of an ordinary annuity, the future value of an ordinary annuity so the information that we have in this case is as follows. We've got the interest rate of 5%, and we've got the time period ranging from 1 to 10. And then our cash flows are of 3,000 each and every year. So we realize to say that at the beginning of each and every year, we've got a cash flow of 3,000. Just like that. Year 2, we also have another cash flow of 3,000 until we reach our final year, which is year 10, where we also have a cash flow of 3,000. And we conclude to say that these cash flows are made at the end of each year. And then we have to make sure that all these cash flows are considered as ordinary annuities. And we have seen from the definition of an annuity is that this is a payment that is made or a payment that is received at the end of each and every year. And the other type of annuity that we have is annuity due. And annuity due is that annuity that is made at the beginning of each and every year. Then in this case, we are trying to determine the future value of a given annuity. And in our previous lectures, we saw that the formula for future value is FV is equals to CO, we open our brackets, 1 plus the interest rate, raising it to the power n, and the n simply represents the time frame or the number of periods that that investment is going to take until it matures. So we've got the formula for an ordinary annuity. Then these are the cash flows that we are going to realize if we individually do the calculations for ordinary annuity. These are the individual cash flows. The cash flows have higher future values because they have more years to earn interest rates. So we see that the higher the future value, the higher the time period, the bigger the time period, the higher the future values. So year one cash